Squid Squad. Welcome back to a new episode of Trials and Trails. We're Kellyanne and Andrea and we're here, live for you, to deep dive into the world of science and travels. If you're new here, Trials and Trails is a space where we talk about marine science, traveling as scientists, and how we balance research, hobbies and life outside the lab. Some weeks we're very professional, some weeks we're not, but it's always on us. So,
today we're going to get into how we started in marine science with internships. So we're just going to talk about a couple of our earliest internships, and then we both are currently doing new internships in our master's, so we're going to also discuss those. But before we get into it, we're going to talk about our waves and wipeouts for the week, which are our highs and lows. Andrea, do you want to start?
Okay, let's start on a positive or negative.
I mean, I think you always want the bad news first, right?
Oh, yeah, okay. The bad news, which is also why this podcast has been delayed way too long, was because I was sick. And I was just, like, miserable and annoyed. And you just didn't want to be around me. So, we didn't.
And that's okay. I didn't want to get sick as well, so I'm happy with that decision. Yeah. And I guess my wipeout for the week has not really been for the week, it's been for the past couple of months. But as a new semester started, most of my problems did go away. The one that did not is my laptop really likes to crash out. But as long as I'm not the one crashing out, I think it's okay. We can get through it. But yeah, not always the most convenient during classes, I would say.
No. And we're now doing quite a lot of classes with our laptop as well. So, yeah. Would be nice if it cooperated. But onto our waves of the week, which mine is kind of literally a wave because I started surfing again.
Yeah.
And it's so exciting. Like, it makes me so happy. Yesterday evening we had a sunset surf, so we had we came out just before the sunset, and then we went back to the beach to actually watch the sunset because it was just so pretty. And me and a friend went together and we had this perfect wave at the same time. And even our instructor started clapping at us from the beach and being all hyped up and, don't have any problems anymore.
I love that.
I washed them away in the water.
I love that so much. Okay, and my wave for the week was that I started Portuguese classes. So, I'm excited to continue to improve. I don't know, I can't speak that much yet, but I have a really good teacher, and I think by the end, I'm gonna be great.
Yeah, no, can't relate. My Portuguese is still so bad. But yeah, let's get into the topic of this podcast, which is our internships. So, yeah, let's just start with you. You have had some really cool internships, I have to say.
Yeah, so I am gonna talk about two different ones from my undergrad. I'm gonna start with one that was an internship that was research-based. So I did a research internship with the Center for Clean Water Technology in New York. And it was to work on creating a novel technique to decontaminate drinking water that was contaminated with PFAS, which is a forever contaminant, and it's also an emerging contaminant, so it's a new kind of buzzword in the science community, I would say. Mm-hmm. Not that it's new in the fact that it hasn't been around long, it has been, but I guess research into it is kind of a newer emerging field. But it was really cool research. That was all lab-based. I had a PhD student that mentored me in it, and it was, it was just really good, cool lab experience. Mm-hmm. And for that one, I'll just keep it a little bit brief because I can't get into exactly what we were doing, what contaminant, what we were exactly doing, but it was just really cool experience, and I'm very interested in the field of emerging contaminants, so that really helped me to
spark your interest.
Yeah, exactly.
Was this your first internship in contaminants back then?
I wouldn't say it was my first. I did some research also that wasn't as much of an internship. Two different projects that were focused on ecotoxicology and then also pollutant tracing using isotopes.
Yeah.
So those are also in the pollutant field,
Yeah.
but like very different.
Yeah.
And because I think that I want to ultimately do something regarding like marine pollutants and how they're impacting organisms or something along those lines, I did quite a bit of different research focused on pollutants and contaminants.
Yeah.
But I did really like the PFAS research, and it was actually in the environmental engineering discipline because I did my minor in university in environmental engineering.
Yeah.
So I got like engineering research credit for this, which was really interesting. It actually made me like kind of reconsider my path, which was really interesting.
Because you like the environmental aspect of it so much?
Yeah, I like the engineering part of it because I feel like with a lot of the marine science and environmental sustainability discipline, like things that I was doing, it was a lot of like evaluating and figuring out problems, but with
this was more hands-on.
Well, it was more about finding solutions to the problems, which I really like.
Yeah.
I like that instead of just like, you know, with marine science, a lot of the time I feel like your research would just be like, here's how much PFAS is in something.
Yeah.
With environmental engineering, we're like, how can we get this out of it?
Yeah.
And so it did make me reconsider my path a little bit. The lab also offered me like a position for a possible PhD.
Ooh.
I didn't end up pursuing that because I did ultimately decide that I wanted to continue at marine science instead.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was a really influential and cool internship experience for me.
Can imagine.
And yeah, I really enjoyed the work.
Yeah.
And yeah, emerging contaminants are just very interesting to me, especially forever, like contaminants like PFASs.
Yeah.
There's so many kinds of PFAS too, so we would work with like different compounds of PFAS and like see how well they held up with our decontamination techniques that we had made. Yeah.
So cool. Yeah, my first internship was really different. I would say I wasn't in the research world at first. I did my previous degree was in hydrography, so it was more the executing side. So we were data deliverables, so we were like collecting data, and I also did my internship in that field. So I did a lot of projects in like the north of Europe for like future wind parks and future. Mostly back then it was future wind parks. We were doing a lot of work for. So yeah, I did really like it, but I knew that I wanted to get more into like the research, like the actual like I have this problem, how do I figure it out? I love like the puzzle and like the freedom it gives you. But what was really cool during that internship was that like back then like autonomous boats were really upcoming. So I was like, you know, I as an intern was already playing with that and how we could incorporate that in like our standard workflow. So that was really cool. Like I had a lot of like also projects with like only one other person, so I was like doing the hands-on work. But yeah, well, I eventually didn't decide also to head into that direction because I just love like the research, the actual research, the what is in this data, what can I see, what can I conclude, how can I like collect the puzzle pieces. But it was a cool. It was also like my first like actual work experience. You know, I was there 40 hours a week for 6 months. So I was like, so also like, you know, professionally it was like a big change. Like how does working corporately work?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a good experience. So I'm grateful for the lessons I had over there.
That's really awesome.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I guess I would also talk about, like, one of my first influential, like, marine science more based internships that was, like, less about research, which was with the Atlantic Marine Conservation Society on Long Island. And so this one was also a conservation research internship was like the title, so it did involve research. I did a lot of data analysis and GIS, but also it was involving stranding investigations on marine mammals and sea turtles. So basically what we would do is carry out necropsy exams on also pinnipeds, which are like seals. When they washed up on shore, we would do necropsy exams, so they're basically like the animal version of an autopsy. And our goal was to figure out exactly why this animal stranded and why it passed away ultimately. and it was really interesting. I also did this internship at a time where New York State specifically was having an unusual mortality event for both minke whales and humpback whales. So during my time at AMC's organization, I had a lot of opportunity to get hands-on experience in necropsies on humpback whales as well as minke whales, and also I had some experience with some sperm whales, sea turtles as well. And other animals. But yeah, it was just really interesting because going into it, I had worked on a whale watching boat the summer before. I realized that I really love cetaceans, which before I was very much like, I want to work with elasma branches, which is like sharks, rays, chimeras, like that's like what I wanted to focus on. And then I realized how much I really loved whales when I was going and seeing whales all the time, and I fell in love with whales. So this internship gave me a different level of like interaction with cetaceans, and getting to be involved in these stranding investigations was really interesting because it felt like solving a puzzle. So a lot of the time, if it was disease, we wouldn't find out that day because we had to collect a bunch of samples and send them away. But most of the whales that were washing up during at least the span of my internship were determined to be vessel strikes. So we would be doing these necropsy exams, and there's so much that goes into a necropsy on large whales that I feel like the public doesn't think about, but like you need to get heavy machinery, you need to have like, you know, people on the scene helping to secure the scene. We always would have a spokesperson sent by NOAA to like do crowd control and answer questions. People from the public will be coming and watching you cut this whale open. It's like a lot of different like little tiny pieces that go into making this kind of thing work. But typically what we found was vessel strikes. So it would be like a lot of taking samples and cutting open the whale, and then eventually we would get to the point where we're gonna dig into the like head and we're gonna try to see if there's skull trauma. And once we would get to that point, that's typically what we would find, especially if the animal overall looked healthy other than that. The unusual mortality event surrounding the minke whales was more of a disease-based kind of event. So most of them were stranding because of sickness. We also had, during my time, and this was actually my first cetacean autopsy, like necropsy exam, was a baby sperm whale. And so that one was really hard because we also had to do euthanasia on the animal. So my job was to declare the animal dead. So I was timing all of its breaths. And that had a bit of a like psychological impact as well, because then I also helped out with the exam the next day. And this animal, we don't think it was sick. We think that something happened to its mother because sperm whales obviously are a toothed whale. So they hunt things like squid and stuff like that. This one didn't have its teeth yet.
And it lost its mom.
Yes, so the mother was not feeding it because when we opened the stomach, all that was in it was sand. So it hadn't been feeding for quite some time. It was abandoned most likely, and it couldn't hunt for itself. So in that circumstance, like euthanasia was obviously
the best choice, but it's still hard.
Yeah, but it was pretty hard, and that internship started out with a little bit of like a hard time for me because of the euthanasia and like just like the kind of shock it comes with like starting to do necropsies on animals.
I can't imagine. We did like this mini fish during our last semester, and oh my gosh.
I got right into the fish because to me that wasn't a problem, but it's crazy because it actually led me to the internship that I'm doing now. That has some similar aspects. Which I guess I can just talk about it because it backs off of that. But now I'm an intern at the Algarve Stranding Network. So they do stranding investigations here in the Algarve region, mostly for dolphins and other cetaceans. They had a sperm whale last year as well, but they don't get as many animals as the Stranding Network in New York. I could get into why that is, but I feel like just for time's sake, so we'll just keep it a little bit more brief. But yeah, so they don't get quite as many animals, but what I'm personally doing right now is a project evaluating common dolphin foraging ecology. So what I do is I have a bunch of stomachs from common dolphins, and I open up the stomachs and I clean them and I get all the contents, and then I end up like sorting through the fish bones and the beaks of the cephalopods and things like that, and I ID them and I figure out what they were exactly eating.
Yeah. Like, I can't even imagine this is fun, but you like it so much.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just like, it's like what I was saying with the necropsies, like it's like solving a puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's really important work, and it's interesting to see like...
Yeah, you can connect the dots like in front of you.
Yeah, and like right now, not exactly the project that I'm working on, but there's a master's student who's doing her thesis in the lab I'm in as well, and she is doing it on bottlenose dolphins, and the bottlenose dolphins in the Algarve have been like taking a lot of food out of like fishing nets and things like that. So there's been a lot of fishing nets and like stuff like that found in their stomachs, lines, which it's like interesting to me. Like I don't think it's obviously not good. It's sad, but it's just interesting, and I like to be able to quantify these things. And because I do want to go into citation research, I also did another internship on like bioacoustics, which I'm not going to get into, but like all these things together,
they make a whole story. It's not only this, but it's the whole story that you're looking at.
And like there's so many different pillars and aspects of cetacean research. I mean, we would also be taking research like data a lot on the whale watching vessels and things like that. So it's like the necropsies and stranding investigations is just one aspect.
I mean, you were telling me about the sardines today, which I thought was a really funny story, because for a background story we have this lecturer and she's telling everyone that we should start eating sardines. Yeah,
so the Portuguese people really love sardines. There's whole stores in like every town dedicated just to sardines.
Yes, like literally just a whole store of canned sardines.
Yes, exactly.
Not even kidding.
So sardines are like very important to the Portuguese people. In some years they don't have as many and everyone will be freaking out.
Oh my gosh, like, so, this is not even a joke, like...
Yeah, no, so this is true. And so I was telling her, I was doing the first stomach content analysis for one of my dolphins, and this dolphin, so far the only fish I found in its stomach were sardines.
Which I think is the funniest thing ever.
Yeah, because I was saying, my joke was that Portuguese dolphins, just like the Portuguese people, like sardines more than any other fish.
Yes. So, well, you know, they seem to have some preferences so far. But as I said, my internships were not anything like this. In contrary, one of my really big interests is education. Don't ask me why. This is not anything that I've had like in my previous degree, but when I was searching, because in the Netherlands you have to do a final thesis already during your bachelor's. So this was my bachelor's thesis. And at that moment I was studying in South Africa, and I knew I wanted to do something different than like the technical things I've been doing for all my previous years of university. So then I got into contact with a company, and we decided to do research on the hydrographic field in South Africa. And the basic goal was to develop the outline of a degree which could like focus on the demands and the needs of the South African hydrographic field, but also see if like a field would actually, like the hydrographic field would actually benefit from this degree, which was really cool because I like basically traveled down to South Africa and interviewed a bunch of like people from like, you know, possible students to like educational professionals, which it's like totally different, because before that I would only work with like numerical data, and now I had to do like a total different way of analysis, but I did really like it, and I did find some pretty cool things, I would say. My thesis won 2 prizes in the Netherlands, which was really exciting. Not that it matters, but it just shows that your work actually has some impact. And I've also been like doing some work right now based on my expertise in this field, which I'm not gonna talk about, but it is really exciting and I did really love it. And right now I'm also like student representative for our current degree, so it is like education is something I'm like really interested in, and I'm really fascinated in how degrees are building up. So even though it's like not really scientific,
No, it's still really important though.
it's really important. I mean, if you don't get the basics right for your professionals, what are your professionals able to deliver in the field? They need to learn it from something. So I think maybe you don't relate it immediately to it, but yeah.
Yes. No, before I started doing more like scientific and research-based things, I was also very big into like climate education. And that was like what my first ever internship was in. So it's definitely important, and it definitely also builds on to like science and things as well. So I think that's really awesome.
I feel like if you have the science background yourself, you need the science background to steer those courses, you know? It's stupid to have someone from a totally different field work in that field on its own. You need to know what you also practically need to know.
Yes.
So yeah, I love that. And right now my internship is something totally different as well, because I literally swore I would never program again in my life after doing my first Jupyter course, Python programming language for the people who know. And now I am working on satellite data, which is SWOT satellite data from the American and French instances that are working together, which is satellite data that's so accurate that you can analyze submesoskele structures, which is like ocean structures from like around tens of kilometers. So I am now like trying to like program and analyze the structures, see how they like change over time, see what their characteristics are, see what the difference is between the current data I'm analyzing and the previous data, which was like way less accurate, and had like you just, if it's less accurate and less precise, then you can just say less about the structure you're looking at. So I've just started with that, and I'm doing like a lot of programming, a lot of data analysis. So I cannot really conclude anything yet, but it is really interesting to see already the difference in accuracy. I also was looking at like how the data was distributed and like what the structure itself looks like across different data sets, and so far nothing is normally distributed. It's all really random and an anomaly. So I hope to be able to maybe work with others on it as well and like broaden it, but so far it's really cool. So yeah, that's basically my current internship. I'm sitting somewhere with my laptop programming and trying to make sense of all that I'm seeing.
That's really cool though, and it's really important. Program is also really important.
Yeah, I feel like
science, like
it is a basis for a lot of things.
Yeah, programming and modeling, like as much as going out in the field and doing practical things is really fun, it's not everything, and like
I think it's really fun. Like the data collection is cool, but also the fact that you actually analyze the data yourself makes the data have so much more meaning.
Yeah. Just
data is kind of boring sometimes if you don't know the story behind it.
Well, also if you don't know how to present it properly, like that's also something that we're learning about in one of our classes right now. Is how to properly analyze and like show and project your data.
Yes.
And it's really important because that also comes into like another interest I really have that I haven't been able to pursue to date, but like science communication is something that's really important as well, and I think that that's what a good data analyst needs to be able to do, is communicate any of their data to the general public.
Yes, I actually thought that was really funny because we learned about the fact that you also need to represent your graphs in black and white, and they still need to be understandable in some sort of way.
Yes.
And then I was doing my Duolingo language, not sponsored unfortunately, but
one day.
Our most toxic relationship in our lives.
Yes.
But I was looking at Duo, and my phone goes onto grey screen after 9 p.m.
Yeah.
And I can't do the classes when it's green because I can't do it without the colors.
Yeah, was it because you couldn't read it, or was it just...
I mean, I can read it, but...
Oh, okay.
But it's just all one and the same color.
Yeah.
And this lecturer was talking about the fact that your colors needed to difference that much so that you could, like, see the...
Yeah, like, he was explaining to us that if someone's colorblind or if your graph is presented in black and white,
Yeah.
And you have like 2 or 3 variables on the same graph, you need to be able to see what each of the variables is. And like it's just things like that, but also just making it really approachable to the general public. So that's why like things like just analyzing, not just like it's not a big thing, it is a big thing, but like analyzing data from your computer is still a very important role in terms of marine science. Like, as much as everyone would love to just be out in the field and collecting data and doing things like fieldwork, there's a lot of other things that go into this field.
And I like to know what I'm collecting and to know the story behind it. I think that's the fascinating part about like marine science, especially also kind of compared to my previous career where it was more just data delivery. Like right now it's so much like you can relate everything to each other. Like I have the data from this satellite and then the data for another satellite, and all of it combined, it tells the story of the structure, you know? It tells why it's important, why it's created, you know, all of these things. But it is really cool and I'm really enjoying it. And also when you're like looking through the data, because at first the question was, can we even like see the data? Which we know now we can. But now there are like 3 or 4 questions open. Like what is your direction gonna be? What are you gonna analyze? What do you wanna see? Like I saw in my data also another anomaly which was not related to the structure I was looking at, but that did skew my whole results. So then you need to think like, what even is that? Does it have an influence with the other structure, or is it like totally unrelated? And I do like data. I do like processing, but I also do like that we have ChatGPT and AI right now, because I would be stressing out about all the error codes I would get.
No, I get it. It can be very helpful. Although, we also hate the environmental impact of AI, so I try to keep it as minimal as possible. I don't want AI to replace us scientists.
No.
But it is it can be really helpful in problem solving at times, especially.
Yes, I agree. So
so I think that wraps up our conversation on our internships for now.
Yes.
Although this is something that I could talk about all day, and I think you as well.
Yes, I hope we can maybe like come back into a few months and talk about the results, or
even we could do a more research-based episode just about like our different research experiences instead of like internship, and then like we can continue talking about like our something because like that.
I of course hope that I can deepen this and I can actually write a publication about it, but when the time comes we will update you on that. That will be a dream, like a publication on my name.
Yes, very exciting.
So do we have any positive science news of the week?
Yes, we do have positive science news of the week. So our positive science news was that for the first time in history, solar overtook fossil fuel use in the EU. And so now it produces 30%
of its energy by green energy sources.
Yes.
Which is a lot.
yes. So that's really significant. And this is something that like has been predicted by like people on the climate side of things for years and years. But you know, there's so many people in the government that will always say that this kind of thing wasn't possible. So it's really amazing to just see it come to true.
No, I'm like I'm proud of my Europe.
yes, I'm proud to live in a country that values clean energy.
And then we have the science fact you didn't ask for, and we hope you're gonna annoy your friends with it massively, because we found out today that chimpanzees in the wild drink and consume alcohol daily, not in a way you would think, but by consuming fermented fruits. And this was known as the drunk ape hypothesis. And the amount of alcohol would be equal to about 1 or 2 glasses alcohol for a person. So apes are just drinking 1 to 2 glasses of alcohol.
So apes are just so funny because they're just constantly drunk.
Yes.
And I love that for them.
I was thinking about, the panda videos going online about pandas just absolutely behaving like children who don't know how to.
Yeah. Well, also, this reminds me, kind of unrelated, but definitely related also, was when I was in Curacao. Obviously it's like a tourist island, lots of people are out drinking, so there was this bar where all the birds would come and drink people's alcohol, and then there would be birds falling all over the place because they were drunk, and so this reminded me of that animals also love to get a little drunk sometimes, and that's very funny for me as a human to watch. So I love that. And
our favorite section of the week.
Yes. So, experimental attraction, peer review pending, and HR disapproved. A sentence you will probably use at work, but you absolutely shouldn't. And we are going to, for this week, you're like the Gulf Stream to my climate. Essential, powerful, and warming everything that it touches.
And also, let's keep it like that, because I don't want the Gulf Stream to collapse. We talked about this in an earlier episode.
Yes.
But right now the Gulf Stream is causing us Europeans to be warm and cozy all year long. And if it collapses, we would have the -20 in Europe. So, let's keep each other, let's let the Gulf Stream keep each other warm and cozy.
And it seems like we're both starting to trip on our words at this point, so I think it's time to end this one.
You know, we're looking outside.
We're starting to sound a little bit like these chimpanzees we were just talking about. But...
No, I think we're looking outside and we're just getting like hungry for some sunshine.
Yes.
Because we've been doing serious stuff all day.
Yes, very serious, very serious.
Yes.
So I think, that's it for this episode. We will see you next time.
And we hope you also have a little bit of sun in your life this week.
Yes.